Okay, so I'm doing this little landscape. I found myself a nice frame at a charity store. That cost me $12, that frame. So it's a nice way to support charities and recycle at the same time and save yourself a bit of money. So that frame, if I'd had it made up, probably would have cost me 2 or 3 times that much. When I do buy frames from charity shops, I make sure that it doesn't have original art in it. If it's got a faded old print, then I'll buy it. But if it's got original art in it, then I won't touch it, no matter how nice the frame is, because I wouldn't want that happening to me, somebody buying my painting just for the frame and tossing my painting away. So I won't do that. What I really want to talk about is using Alkyd colour in the background. Alkyd oils dry a lot faster than your normal oils, and I've found that especially with regards to titanium white, it's one of the slowest, or probably is the slowest drying of the oils. And if you use it in the background and in the sky, and when you put your landscape or your trees or your foliage or whatever over the top of it, the white in the sky can still be drying long after your green and your browns and your foliage have dried, and what happens is it causes cracking. So I use Alkyd colour, mostly Alkyd white, titanium white, because it will help the sky dry a lot faster, and I won't suffer the cracking of my painting in these areas where it's going to be overlapping. Also, I use for my sky colour, I use cerulean blue, although sky colour is probably more closely associated with a cobalt blue. I use cerulean blue because it's a cooler blue, and as we know, cooler colours recede and warmer colours advance. I've always used cerulean blue. Sometimes I use a bit of Prussian blue if I want to darken up some areas. For clouds, I use a combination of titanium white, Van Dyke brown, and sometimes Prussian blue if they're very, very dark, stormy clouds. I don't use black. Black I find really deadens your painting. Right, so I'll just show you the difference here. This is cerulean blue, and this is cobalt blue. So you can see how cobalt blue is probably more of a sky blue. It's a lot warmer than the cerulean, but I just feel that in landscapes I want the sky to be receding, to be in the background. That this would be okay if you're maybe painting a tropical scene, and you can have very warm colours. I mean, it's up to you, but my preference is the cerulean. Right. You can see here, I've already started work. I've only just quickly roughed out my landscape using a single modelling layer with burnt sienna, and then I've quickly roughed in the sky. I just let things flow. I don't really worry too much about getting it exactly right on the first go. So normally when doing the sky, I start lightly. So I'll begin with the horizon. And then mix in a little extra blue and work my way to the top of the canvas. So you graduate the sky as you go. It's up to you how pedantic you want to be. And of course I'll be putting clouds through this as well. Because it's a landscape too, you want to work over the edges of your foliage and your clouds, because you're going to overlap them later on. Okay, bring a little bit more blue in again. Just sort of darkening it up. It's a bit too dark. Just darken it up maybe a tone or two as we go. Okay, so that by the time we get to the top, we're going to be maybe about that. Alright, so I'll get to work on that and then I'll come back. Okay, so that's the blue done. Hopefully you can see there's a bit of graduation here from light up to a tone or 2 or 3 darker. Some people like to make it really smooth. I like to see a few brush strokes here and there, so I'm not too pedantic about it. So now I'm going to start bringing my clouds in as well. So we'll just start that a little bit. I use Van Dyke Brown, again using the Alkyd titanium white. And when I paint clouds, I just like to flick the brush in a kind of semicircular motion. You don't want to try and blend it too much, again, just, your brush strokes can show through. I like clouds. Some people just like a clean, empty sky, but I like to put clouds in the sky. They give volume to the sky. They give a sense of distance, and they add interest. So it's okay having a perfectly blue, cloudless sky, but I just feel a few clouds make it far more interesting. Because we've just painted our blue and it's still wet, we can work in the clouds into the blue and get them to blend a little bit. The good thing about clouds is they can be any shape. So I'm blending the paint on the painting rather than on the palette. I'm just letting it all mix together as we go. Make sure you also flick it back the other way, the shadow side of the cloud, and again bring it down over your foliage so you can overlap that later. And just work away until you're happy with the shape. Can bring a little bit of your sky blue also back into cloud areas. Will help blend it. Okay, so I'll go ahead and finish that, and then we'll come back and have a look at it. Okay, so that's pretty much my clouds done. Reasonably happy. As you can see, I've left the brush strokes. I don't overly blend it, but that's just my technique. Clouds aren't the same density or the same thickness all the way through. Some parts are heavy, some parts are wispy. So as you can see, in some areas I've done quite opaque strokes, made it quite thick and bold, and in other areas around the edges I've feathered it into the sky, make it a bit more wispy, and that just adds interest. Over here, this area I hardly touched from my original, well, from my first coat. I was quite happy with the tone and the colour that it was, so I've just put a few more strokes lightly over the top and left that as it is. Remember when you're doing landscape that you need to, I've seen a lot of beginners, they'll do a very heavy tree line, but if you look at trees you can always see bits of sky through them, so make sure that you bring your sky through the tree line and don't just paint a thick opaque tree line, because you want the sky to break it up and makes it a lot better. And here, this where I haven't painted over it a second time, you'll see my ground coat, this Indian red, showing through as a warm colour. So again, that just mixes it up and adds to the interest. Make sure you overlap quite well, because then when I come to do the foliage, I'll be bringing that back out again over the sky. There's going to be a lot of ferns in here. Originally, when I started painting, I struggled with ferns, so I might do a little video later on how to paint ferns, or how I paint ferns, just in case you're struggling with that too. Okay.